Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Lone Wolf 902. Today's video is going to be a solo hammock camping trip. As you can see, I have a pretty interesting setup, I'll say that. This is a 10 by 13 AquaQuest tarp. I've got it pinned super low to the ground, so I am off of the ground. I know it's hard to believe, but my hammock right now is actually riding the ridge of the tarp. When I get inside of the hammock, it goes down and it stops at about 6 inches underneath of my underquilt. So I've got 6 inches to the ground. Now I've already laid in this and kind of got the stretch out of the straps. I'm going to be comfortable where it's at. I have used this shelter in the wintertime just like this before, and I know it works very well. So the reason why I've gone low to the ground is I have 2 synthetic underquilts, and it's going down to -12, -15 degrees Celsius tonight. And I'm on the edge of a lake. So there's a lake right behind the camera. That cold air is going to be coming in quite chilly. So I want to be down low to the ground and block that wind and be protected. Now we'll talk more about the system a little later on, but I just wanted to point out that I am off the ground. Yes, I am in a hammock, and everything will work out great. So what I'm going to do now is go through my pack, get all of my other gear out of here, get my saw. I've got to get some firewood because I'm going to be doing an outside fire over at the fire pit, cooking some food, but I am also going to be utilizing the inside of the hammock to cook later on at nighttime. So I'm going to be talking about that later on in the video, but right now I got to do some camp chores. I'm going to open up this door, get it wide open, get all my gear set up, and then get some firewood. Alright guys, so what I've got here is a titanium stove that I purchased quite a while ago, and it comes with this tray that you can put solid fuel tablets in there. Now I actually purchased this specifically for my pop can stove. So this is a DIY alcohol stove that I made just out of 2 pop cans, and with this center tray inserted in here, I'll just get this assembled. What I found online, the measurements of this actually fit my pop can perfectly in there on that tray. And it's just underneath. Now I did bring a titanium pot and my titanium kettle. So these are going to be my 2 cooking vessels. My kettle fits on here perfectly. And my 750 pot also fits on here barely, but it does fit nicely. So this is going to be the system that I'm going to be cooking inside of the tent with. Now, I do know alcohol does not work very well in cold temperatures. Neither does isobutane, those canister stoves. So why did I even bother bringing it? Well, I wanted a challenge. If I kept bringing things that worked every single time, it wouldn't be fun. So I'm looking forward to actually using this, and I'm looking forward to it kind of pushing back a little bit and not wanting to work, you know? So who knows, it might work really well, it might not. I'm up for the challenge. Like I said, I'm gonna have an outdoor fire over at the fire pit anyways, which is probably where this guy's gonna go on a stick. So we'll get some water out of the lake, boil it up for later on, and we'll have good drinking water. But I am going to be using this inside of there. Obviously not this high. I'm probably going to use one leg section, so it's pretty much on the ground. And then get that going and get the kettle or pot on there to cook up some noodles later on, maybe a soup. So this is going to be my indoor cooking vessel type setup here, this little alcohol stove. I am also going to be using my table outside and inside. So I just wanted to mention that before I get too far into the setup. Now I'm going to grab my saw and get some firewood because it is going to be dark very soon, probably in the next 2-3 hours. I know it looks bright and sunny out right now on the camera. It's actually quite dark and cloudy, so I do really need to hurry, get some firewood, and get it over near the fire area. Alright guys, that was pretty cool. I'm sitting here and I got my coffee all situated, so I am enjoying a cup of coffee right now. Nice warm fire. And it looks like I have 3 visitors out in the water. So it was pretty cool because they came really close and they didn't care that I was there at all. But they were so close that I can hear them snorting as they came up out of the water. And I can actually hear them crunching through the shells of the freshwater mussels that are in this lake. So that was pretty cool. They're out there enjoying some food. Speaking of food, I do have to get cooking myself. So I have a rock I placed in the fire off to the side, and I'm basically going to put my grill on top of that rock, scrape some coals underneath of it, and get my pot situated on top of that. And I've got yellow onion, green onion, carrot, I brought potatoes, and my spice kit. So I'm basically just going to make a soup, something real simple, real easy, get it in the pot, let it simmer for quite a while, probably about an hour. And then I'm going to enjoy that and get all cleaned up before nighttime, because I do want to enjoy this fire as long as the wind doesn't get too bad. I would like to sit out here for a little bit tonight before I head into the hammock. Alright guys, my supper's all cooked. I've decided to come up into the hammock because it is frigid cold. I don't have anything to sit on, so that's the biggest problem that I've been having. I could take my backpack out there and sit on it, but there's really no insulation value to that, so I've got all of this insulation right here. I've got my top quilt, my 2 under quilts. I figure why not just come over here, get out of the wind, and eat my soup. So that took a little while to cook, but it's done now and it smells amazing. Really good. So let's give this a try. Oh yeah. Oh, can't go wrong with that. Whew. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to enjoy this. I am extremely hungry. Oh yeah. Alright guys, I'm going to sit in my hammock, chill out for a little bit, enjoy my supper, and then I'm going to make my way back over to the campfire once I get cleaned up and enjoy a little bit of the campfire and maybe crack into a brew and just kind of relax for a little bit before I end up in here for the rest of the night. Alright guys, supper's all done. It was really good. I really needed that. I was hungry, I was getting really cold, my hands were starting to freeze up. That hot soup was really good. So, as you can see, it is almost dark out. We're basically at last light right now. Looking pretty cool out there, nice and blue sky. So, I'm gonna hang out here in front of the fire for a little bit. I do have a coffee and cocoa stout. I like my dark stouts and porters during the wintertime, really good. So I'm going to sip on this, enjoy the warmth from the fire for a little bit, and then basically turn in the hammock once it's dark and that fire goes out. Alright guys, fire is put out. It is now pitch black outside. I got my table set up here, so I got my beer. I've got my phone on this little table stand here. I'm basically just going to get changed into, I brought Long Johns and I have my long sleeve shirt already on, so I'm going to use my wool sweater as a pillow. I'm going to take that off, bunch it up in the hammock, get my boots off. I do have a change of socks that I want to put on, so I'm basically going to be in the hammock for the rest of the night. I do have an Adam Sandler movie that I want to watch, so that's going to be awesome. But just want to give you guys a look at what's going on here so you guys can kind of get a layout or an idea of the layout. I do have my alcohol stove down there, like I was saying earlier, with a bottle of methyl hydrate. I got my tea kettle full of water that's already been boiled. And then I've got my pot all cleaned out that I have my supper in. So I do have a pack of Mr. Noodles in here and a couple other small snacks. If I do wake up cold, I can always snack on something with a lot of fat, a lot of calories, protein, whatnot. But this is basically it for the night. I am tired, I am exhausted, and I'm getting cold again. So I'm going to be jumping in this bad boy and getting warmed up and watching my movie from right here in the hammock. So I'm going to catch you guys in the morning time. Peace out. Good night. Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful morning out today. It's still quite cold. We're at about -8 degrees Celsius right now. Not too bad though once you get up and get moving around. I got a hot coffee. I had my 2 packs of hot oatmeal, which is really nice on the alcohol stove. Took a bit to get up the temperature because alcohol stoves are quite slow, but it worked and it was nice and silent too. So right now I'm enjoying my coffee, but I'm also staring out at the lake at my 3 little aquatic friends. So those otters that were in camp last night that were crunching on the freshwater mussels that are in here in the lake, they were kind of in this little cove area splashing around and doing their thing. Well, this morning I was in the hammock and I can hear splashing in the water. And when I came out, they were way across the lake with this overcast gray sky and the water being black. You could pick out their heads popping up, and I was surprised at how far the sound actually traveled way across the lake. So now they're actually, wait for them to surface, they're actually just out here probably about 100 yards doing the same thing, patrolling for food, the 3 of them together. So I've been sitting here for a few minutes enjoying my coffee and watching these guys. All right, just working on my second cup of coffee here. Get this poured up while it's still hot. So last night in the hammock system here, it was actually pretty warm. I was pretty cozy and I fell asleep much faster than I thought I was going to. So that actually made for a long night because I ended up waking up earlier. So I went to bed. I want to say I probably fell asleep at probably 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. And I had my phone sitting on this table and I had it positioned next to the hammock. So I was watching, what was Sandy Wexler, Adam Sandler movie. I was watching that and I completely just fell asleep. I didn't finish watching it. I fell asleep and I woke up, I want to say probably 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was still pitch black out, and I went to check the time on my phone, completely dead. So I had my screen locked so it stayed on the whole time, and even when the show ended, it stayed on. So my phone's completely dead. I have no idea what time it is, but I woke up and I must have laid there for another hour, an hour and a half before first light started coming out, and that's when I started hearing the splashing in the water and went out to go see what it was and whatnot. But yeah, it was a good night's sleep. So like I was saying yesterday, 2 single under quilts underneath of me plus my down top quilt. And I took this hoodie off and used it as a pillow. And then I had my table and all my setup inside of there, which is really actually quite cozy. But like I was saying last night and yesterday, there's not really a whole lot of moving around in the shelter. It's more of you get in there and you basically go to sleep. Now, I have done this in the wintertime where it starts coming down with wet, nasty snow, and I don't really want to be out here getting wet for that time period. So what I've done is actually unhooked my hammock and balled it up on the far end and set it on top, or sometimes I'll open the front part of my backpack and just cram the whole thing in there so it's not on the snow. And then you could actually sit down inside of this with like 1.5 feet of headroom above you. So you can use this as a day shelter plus a night shelter. So I have done that before, but it didn't rain or snow, so I didn't need to. I spent all my time outside, and I had a really great time too. So the plans for this morning, now that I've been up and around for 2-3 hours, I'm probably going to finish up my coffee and then slowly start packing up and basically get everything in the pack. And then it's going to be hit the trail time because I do have a little bit of a hike to get out to the main logging road and then get back in my truck and head out from there. So I'm going to enjoy my coffee. There is a slight breeze coming in off the lake right now. Nice and cool. It's brisk. I'm telling you, it's brisk. But I love it. I'll take this over summer any day. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to take the hammock system down. What I'm going to do before I actually take the whole thing down is I'm just going to peel the tarp back so you guys can have a view of the inside with the hammock set up. And then I'm just going to continue tearing everything down and basically proceed to get it into my backpack. But I find this is probably going to be interesting to a lot of hammock campers, seeing the inside. So let's peel this back and let's have a look really quickly. Some of these pegs out of the ground. And I'll take the guide lines off after. So here's the inside of the shelter. I got my backpack and my saw over here, and that's basically it for everything else inside. Now I am in a bug enclosed hammock. The zipper's on the other side. So let's talk about this for a second. This is the One Tigers compound hammock, if anybody's wondering. And it does have side pullouts, which is extremely useful when you're inside of a hammock that feels small, or a shelter that feels small. You can actually guy this out and open up the hammock to feel bigger. So I did do that, and I felt a lot more roomier inside. So looking at the bottom, you can see I do have my clearance down there. Now I took the stretch out of the straps yesterday by jumping inside of the hammock. So if I get in there, it actually only goes down about 2 inches. So I'm still off the ground, plenty of room there. Now the underquilts. So this is one underquilt, and then I have the other underquilt there, and then just the empty hammock. So, or actually I got a, what do I have in there? I think I got some cooking things in there right now, and my lawn johns that I slept in last night. So my thermal underwear. So that's basically the setup right there. Just 2 single underquilts. I do like offsetting the underquilt, so you'll notice that this is kind of showing the fabric. I push one underquilt that way, and then I push the other one that way. So the bottom is overlap, but then I get massive head end and foot end coverage. So if I do want to wiggle around in the hammock, my feet aren't going to hit just the hammock material and freeze. I'm actually always going to be covered with an underquilt, and that also helps with any wind that happens to come through the tarp. It'll hit the underquilt and not hit the back side of the hammock and make me cold. So this is a system that works really well, and I'm really happy with it. For me anyways, it treats me really well. So that's the inside of the hammock. I'm now going to tear everything down. I'm going to spare you that process because I still got to get all these guide lines off and bound those all up. Get all my cooking gear put away, have one last coffee because I think that's all that's in my kettle. And then I'm going to get everything in the pack and I'll bring you guys back. Okay guys, everything is packed up and in the backpack. That was a little bit of work. I had to get all the guide lines off, wound them all up, and all the pegs, and I'm very, very particular when I do that because I don't want to have to do it again when I get home. So I took the time to do it right, enjoyed another coffee as usual, packed it all in the bag, and we're ready to go. So I do want to say thank you very much for watching the video. This is an excellent location that I love coming to. I love this area. I love the lake. I love it. It's so quiet. It's so green in here. It's just, you're trapped in this little green kind of coniferous private spot with a lakefront view. So I do really love coming here. And I gotta say, again, I enjoyed myself a lot. So I do have to get going, but I want to say again, thank you very much for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, drop it down in the comment section and I'll be sure to get back to you on that. Until next time, peace out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.